right, TT guys, I got a very special guest with me here today, and this is a big one right here. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Danny Dirte here from the NEDT race series. Here to give you guys a little bit of insight on what's going on this year, the upcoming season. It's going to be a big one. This year I actually got promoted. There's going to be 3 of us to handle everything. There's going to be 3 head officials, and actually I got the promotion to be one of that. So we're going to handle all situations between all 3 of us and give it a little better view, a little better roundabout for everything. Get an idea, to help out everything. It's too much to put on one person, and that one person gets beat up a little more than what they should. And hopefully, me being that part, I can help calm some nerves.
Danny, that's awesome. Congratulations. How long have you been around the TT community?
Well, honestly, grown up right around, a lot of people know I've grown up right around Pine Lake. I live a mile and a half from Pine Lake. I've been going there since a little kid. I can remember my parents actually taking me around in a old Honda 4x4, the original 4x4 that Honda made, 1986, in a wagon after the races. So I've been around TT racing my entire life. Actually, a little fun fact is I used to do some TT racing in 2004, 2005. I did Pine Lake and the Cody Hurst Memorial. And then I've worked at Pine Lake my entire life. And then I've started doing this little get up, and now it's involved in me being a head official. So I can't complain. I love it. Love every bit of it.
Tell us about the outfit, man. I mean, a lot of people, they got questions about it, but how did that come about? And, what does it mean for riders lining up on the line to see you out there doing your thing? What's some of their reactions?
Oh man, they seem to love it. It really, Chucky's promised me he wants to do something when I run across the line, and he hasn't done it yet. So I'm waiting for that day. They love it. And honestly, so originally started at Pine Lake, us and a bunch of the track workers, and younger Bill Fisher, who manages the track on a regular basis. We had a Halloween party, just kind of end of the season, small little Halloween party, 10, 15 people. I bought a mullet wig at the store, and I wore it, and it turned into, hey, it'd be a good time is if you wore that, wig on the starting line. Well, that was October. It was till July that next year, and I'm like, I can wear that, but I got to add something to it. So that's when I started headband mullet, and it just slowly progressed into, something American. What we're doing is all American. I mean, motors, mullets, mustaches, long hair, blood, sweat, tears. That's all American right there. And why not, and we're in America, let's have some fun. Let's live this freedom up, and let's keep it going.
Oh yeah. What's your goals this year as a head official? Not only that, but just the gimmick that you have for the New East. Well, what's your goals, or what's some achievements that you're looking to achieve this year?
Some of my achievements, I mean, obviously is, be as flawless as I can, and safety's number one in my opinion. Being safe, making sure that I can give that, give the riders the best chance, the best starting line, the best, fairest, safe track, safe everything that we can do. That's what I want to promote. My big accomplishments, let's build it. I mean, Bud's Creek is going to be amazing this year with the MX there. They're going to see some stuff that they haven't seen in a lot of years with us TT boys. So that's probably it. let's keep building it. That's my goals, is let's keep building it. Let's get a bigger name. It's a bit bigger name for everybody, for me, for
Yeah.
you, I'm just all about the positivity, and let's do it.
Yeah. A little bit of a side topic, Neil Pritchard, he had a lot to do with the TT tracks, building them, maintaining them. And whenever he was out on the machine, there would be kids lined up just watching him. He had a big impact on the TT community. Did he have any impact on your life?
Absolutely. I didn't know him as well as a lot of people have. I mean, obviously being up here, being, northern Ohio, and he's down there. But I honestly remember him and what he's done for, this race series and just TT racing itself. And you said it right there. The kids lining up and just watching him. I don't think we have that enough. I don't think, getting back to my safety thing is, let's get these kids off the pit bikes, get them off the pedal bikes, and have them watch the track, because they're the next ones that are going to be keeping on this legacy of racing and everything. And so, yeah, as in Neil, I mean, what he's done and his legacy he's left is just absolutely amazing. My heart goes out to the entire family, an entire race community. That was a tragic loss, and it really was. Cancer sucks. It really does. I lost my dad when I was 13 years old to cancer myself. So yeah, it pulls on the heartstrings, as I'm getting a little goosebumps talking about it now. So yeah, he's definitely made it.
He's made a big impact on it, and especially with the kids. I mean, especially with the banquets, him and Cynthia, they'd go above and beyond for the riders, and there's been times that I'm sure they've come out of pocket to make certain banquets or races the best they can be. And he's definitely going to be missed, but I know Cynthia and Chucky and a lot of the other TT riders come together, and they're going to help Cynthia out the best that they can, with different series.
Correct.
Everybody wishes there'd be just one big series, but if you think of it, it'd be impossible to try to get all these tracks in. But it would be nice to see, and I'm not 100% with the New East. I don't know if they're AMA sanctioned or not, but I'd like to see some AMA sanctioned. I'd like to see some AMA sanctioned TT races.
AMA, yeah, I struggle with AMA just because of what they've done to the TT racing, and won't get into all that, but you're absolutely right. Unfortunately, I feel the motocross is kind of going the same way, and they're doing it with them. And hopefully with this Budds Creek this year, it can build that relationship back together, and we can get positive ends on both. You're absolutely right. Let's get back, let's see AMA get it back. And what Sean has done with the NEDT is remarkable. I mean, having close to 1,000 riders at the 50th at Pine Lake, that's something to tip your hat at right there. And, and I think this next year, jumping off topic a little bit, this next year at Pine Lake with them 90s and all them classes that he's planning on up there, it's gonna be a fun night.
Yeah. What's some tracks that you're looking forward to? Black Ankle came back into the picture here recently. I don't know if you've been to that track or not, but that track has very big potential to be one of the best tracks on the East Coast.
Absolutely. No, you're correct. So this past season was my first season, first full season, and I made it to Black Ankle, and yeah, what a facility. Can't say enough about that. I mean, kind of wish I had a bike to go, practice on and, play around myself. But yeah, you're right. That track is something amazing. They do have a nice little honey hole right there. And then, yeah, with the they're doing with the MX track too. I mean, that's just kudos to them. I'm a huge, I don't care what it is. I'm a huge track supporter, race supporter. What I don't care what it is. Let's
Yeah.
friggin' get on the track and let's go.
I love the attitude. I love the motivation that you have, and I'm sure all the other riders really appreciate, you constantly having a smile and, just cheering everybody up.
Absolutely.
The TT community and myself would definitely give you a round of applause if they were all here. But we do appreciate everything that you do. Don't feel like you're not, because that'd be BS.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Um, what's what riders are you looking forward to this year? Especially in the pro class, what riders do you really see potential in winning a championship this year?
Honestly, I like them all. But if I, not trying to pick my sides, and being an official, but go around. If you look at it, a good all-around person is Aaron Medlin. You see him on and off the track. You see him conversing with the kids, hanging out with the kids, doing great. I really enjoy seeing him race. Brad's got some competition this year. I see it's going to be a good battle watching Aaron, Brad, and definitely seeing CJ come back into the picture. CJ was out last year. He raced the Midwest Series, and this year he's back, and it's going to be a good battle this year. And then throw Chucky in there. Chucky likes to throw them curveballs and be up in that front and get them boys a run for his money.
He's like a if you think about it, he's like Chad Reed. Anytime that he'd get the top 5, it's definitely a curveball. And I'm not talking down on Chucky. He is getting up in age, but he's still out there doing it.
He absolutely is.
And I know his wife's racing now and his kids, and there ain't no telling how much longer he's got left, but he's going to give it his all until he physically can't no more.
Yes.
Let's talk about we lost a rider, I think it was 2 years ago, Nicholas Coltrane. But let's talk about his brother Daniel. What's he looking like this year? Or what did you see in him last year that you really liked?
Who was that? Brandon?
Yeah, Brandon, my bad.
I like Brandon. He's a good boy. He's a good racer. He's got it. He's young. He's young, and he's got that a little bit of maturity. But no, he's a good racer. Him and Joey, those two battled it out all year long. They both can cut a mean light. Brandon cuts it a little bit, too soon sometimes and gets himself in trouble. But no, yeah, I really give it kudos to him for keeping on racing, especially after losing his brother. I'm sure that's tough, and I'm sure it goes through his head every time. Losing Nick, is just, you lose anybody young that, is horrible. So
yeah.
I look to see, what Brandon's got this year. He's a bigger boy, on a quad, and he's going against some people that are his size, unfortunately, and
but that weight advantage, there is advantages to that, man.
You're correct.
Getting the bike set in the turn a lot quicker, having that extra muscle, it really does help as a rider.
You got that little. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You're good.
That little extra weight. I'm a bigger boy. I've raced. It's that little extra weight to get that traction in the corner. Yeah.
Do you wish to see more oval track racing throughout the schedule?
Yeah, I do. I wouldn't mind more than 2. Definitely it's something fun to watch, and especially going from Muskegum, where you got these pro racers. I mean, what was it? Chucky the 1 year and Jacob Hall on that friggin' three-wheeler. God, he can ride.
Yeah.
Were they hitting over 100 miles per hour that 1 year at Muskegum? Then we go to Owasso, and I get dizzy from turning myself around trying to watch them. They're making so many laps, So
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind, throwing another in between track in there, just to absolutely mix it up. It's a fun Friday night, it breaks up the monotony and a little bit different. It's easy. Yeah, it's not easy, but it's easier than TT racing,
Yeah.
And
It's also more dangerous, especially at the speeds. I've got personal experience of that, man. I remember when Marty Benj had a intermediate show at East Lincoln in 2020, I believe. And I hadn't been on a quad in like 3 years. I hung the helmet up with all the concussions and stuff.
Mhm.
But he messaged me and he was like, "Hey man," I was like, "What's up?" He's like, "I got your bike. I got your old plastics on. I got an intermission race this weekend. You want to come on out?" I'm like, "Boy, you know how to talk somebody into racing." Man, I get there. I'm super excited. Nerves going through my head like crazy just because it had been so long. But we went out there for practice, and it was like I hadn't been off the bike at all. And then we go into the heat race, and I was holding on to second for 3 laps, and then Marty, Michael, and me came 3 wide coming down the back stretch, and we all go down low, and they start hitting tires, and there's a concrete wall right to my left, and I slid up high for a little bit because I was going to go high and cut down on the inside coming off to the front stretch. Well, when I was going into the turn and going up a little bit higher, my tire, I didn't check the tire pressure, so it's on me, but I guess the tire pressure wasn't enough. I hit a car rut, and it snapped the upper and lower A arm, and it just slung me, dude. And it's just out, lights out. It is definitely a dangerous sport, but the
Yes,
way
it
that
is.
the flow going around the turns, it's just like you're basically, it feels like you're flying. It's so
Correct.
smooth going around them turns if you have the right setup.
Yep. No, it's fun. Yeah, just to pitch it sideways and just give her all she's got. And absolutely, I'd love again, and Owasso, you kind of can watch them. There's a little bit of a wave to it too when they go around, and it's fun. I'd love to see more of it.
Yeah.
Another track or two. So we hope.
Do you think part of the factor of them not having as many could be bike count issues because some people have to travel so far away? Or do you think it's the fact that doing tracks like that and hitting the rev limiter most of the time when you're in fifth gear on some of these tracks, just pinned, it takes a lot of wear and tear on the motors. Do you think some riders kind of complain about that a little bit? Or what do you think the issue is?
I'd say both. I mean, absolutely. I mean, it ain't cheap racing, I mean, especially with, these new hybrids and CRFs. I mean, you're talking, 15 plus thousand for it, So you're absolutely right. You can't, it's not the old two-stroke days where you can put a new top end in and, an hour, the takes. So yeah, it's money. And I think if people had more bikes, a few extra laying around, it'd be a different story. But yeah, it's a money issue. And I don't blame people one bit with it. Spend that much money and you're in a championship race. You don't want to go take that same bike out and bounce it off the rev limiter for 20 some laps. So
Yeah. I know this is kind of an off topic, but it kind of relates. Man, here lately with motocross, the thefts that's been going around with people's bikes getting stolen at tracks and stuff, and that's something I haven't seen with y'all. I mean, I haven't seen anything here recently about it. What kind of security steps do y'all take if y'all do allow camping overnight?
honestly, for the most part, everybody's been pretty good at TT tracks. I mean, we're such more of a tight knit community because to set your machine up for TT, I mean, that's just not your run of the mill. Just go grab, a random dirt
Yeah.
bike and head to the motocross track and just get in that way. If somebody doesn't fit in the TT world, everybody's like, whoa, who's this person? So,
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up, I remember, I still see people do it. I left my TT quad sitting out next to the tent underneath my pop-up all night long.
Yeah.
Didn't think twice about it. And I'll guarantee it's that same way. Now we did have a race family. I think they live right here in New York, a couple hours away from me. They just had all their quads and everything stolen right out of their house garage. So yeah, I mean, it sucks. I mean, Hetrick had his, bike stolen in Texas, so it's a crappy situation. And if you got to go through life to steal, I mean, you need a better, you need some help,
Yeah.
I don't know. I do see people with, it keeps rising. Absolutely. You got expensive machines. You're going to be putting them in the trailer all night long. You're going to be locked
Yeah.
up, taking security risks.
Yeah. Let's talk about, and you can deny this subject if you want to talk about it or not, but man, the series drama between all of these series, a few years ago, it was complete chaos. And I feel like that's part of the reason that the sport's falling off is because these promoters and series just can't get along. What advice can you give to other promoters out here to help eliminate the drama between different series? And there was also a time where I know one series, if you went and ran the other dude's series, you'd get banned from the series that you were racing in. It's not supposed to be like that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I've seen some of that drama pop off lately, and I've read some of the comments, and I stay out of it. I don't really want to be a part of it. Being in the position I am, like I said, I try to get along with everybody. Probably the advice that I would say or give on that is, we're race family. I was always brought up, TT racing is kind of like, we're the redheaded stepchildren of, the ATV world. You got motocross and GNCC that sit higher than us. And then there's, TT. So unfortunately, and you're absolutely right. We keep going around and bashing each other. Is it the promoters? Is it the racers? Is it the tracks? I'm not there firsthand, so I can't, comment on that. I see what Sean does in the NEDT, and I witnessed that, and it's going great. I mean, he treats everybody's like a family. There's no membership to get into the series, and it only costs you to get into the gate and race, and I think that's where a lot of people get away with it. They start getting money in their head. Oh, I got to, being a track owner, being a series owner, that is not a get rich sport. You're doing it because you love it and you have a passion for it. You're not going to come out making billions and driving Mercedes and, BMWs. You do it because you love it and you want to see it go. And I think that is probably where you get some of the disconnect, and like I said, I can't point fingers. I can't comment on certain, topics just because I'm not there. But yeah, I would believe it comes down to always communication, there's a communication error before it falls apart. And that's,
I know over here on the East Coast, and again, I'm just gonna put it out there how it is. If I've seen something that I didn't like, I'll be straight up. And another one of that was tracks getting leased from up under other series owners, and it could have been because of past drama or past issues in the past. But at the same time, it's like you mentioned, if you're in this sport trying to make money as a promoter, you're crazy. It's not going to happen. But you have to have the love for the sport in order to support the sport. You know, let's at least attempt to come together as one instead of all these different branches. But what do you see in the future of TT racing?
Oh man, I see it going big. I see it especially this year. I mean, you go from, the 50th at Pine Lake, how many, almost 1,000 people to, or 1,000 racers to, this upcoming year where we got TT racing and motocross back at, Budds Creek. We're headed back to, Danville, Virginia. We haven't been there in years. Everybody's excited about that. So I see a lot of good things coming up the next couple of years. I'm actually, I couldn't be happier to be a part of the series and being an official. Everybody talks about the heydays of TT racing being the late 80s and 90s and the early 2000s. Well, I think we're living it now. I mean, I really do. I mean, look at the numbers. Look at the racers. We're dwarfing, what they did back in the day. Yeah, it was great times. This had some great races. I'm not downgrading it, but I think 20 years from now, we're going to go, wow, 2020, to 2025 were some great TT racing years. Those were some of the best, so I really see a lot of bright future. I really, would love to see big manufacturer put out a nice sport quad again, but I'm not the one making that call.
Yeah. Let's just talking about manufacturers, let's talk about some brands. A lot of people, hell, for the past 15 years have ran the 05s and below, or the 04, 05 TRX 450Rs. And now it's hard to get parts. And now you're starting to see more riders switch over to Yamaha or even the hybrids. Do you think one brand's going to overdo the other in TT racing? I mean, Honda's always been dominant, but now the Yamahas are starting to come into the picture. You got Chucky, you got Brad on them, and it's given a good impression on the brand of the bike. And, that could kind of rub off on these upcoming pro riders.
I see it, I see the Yamahas there. They're going to obviously, make their presence. They're going to be more and more just because they're the only ones been made for going on 10 years now, so I own a 05 450 myself, and you're absolutely right. There's certain gears you can't, they don't make anymore, certain parts that there's not there. So yeah, I believe those engines, they're done. I think the frames and everything are still going to be there, and there's going to be a bunch of hybrids. I mean, that's what it's going to come down to. It's going to be, we'll get to a point where, it'll be nothing but hybrid quads. I mean, Honda still holds that reign. I mean, you look at the lineups and there's still Hondas, dominating the TT world, but it's slowly changing, it really is. And I mean, is it a bad thing? I mean, you got to move on at some point.
No, and honestly, I think it's going to make the sport grow more because, you'll have Yamaha will be getting all these people buying bikes from them, and they'll be wondering, well, why were sales down between these years and now it's starting to pick back up?
Yep, absolutely.
They'll do their research as to what kind of quad racing is it. And they might come out with a certain edition for TT. It'd be nice, factory edition TT.
Oh, that'd be awesome. I'm a Honda person through and through, but that would be a tough call to make. I mean, yeah, if they did that, let's do it. Can we get Yamaha on the line? Let's go. I mean,
yeah,
I'm sure a lot of people would be on that ship too. I mean, absolutely.
Let's touch on a couple more subjects. What do you have to say to the TT community? It could be thanking them, or stuff to look forward to, or tips or pointers for new riders coming into the TT picture. Because I know I have a couple friends that's been ATVMX for years, and then they seen us on a TT bike, and they're like, "Okay, I've got to try that." What do you
Right.
have to say about those newcomers coming into the TT scene?
Enjoy it. Come in, have fun. Um, it really is a great experience. Probably the first thing I would say to the entire community, and honestly, thank you. I mean, if it wasn't for the TT community, the ATVs, everybody, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing and what I love to do, and that's dressing up like a goofball and running across the line. So I like to thank them. Two, with the newcomers and everything, you're going to come in and not know what you're doing, but there's enough nice people out there, and there's enough people out there that will help and will give you advice, no issues whatsoever. And just because they're good people, I could sit here and count off so many family members and people that race that do that, and I see it firsthand, and it's absolutely great. Probably a third thing about it, to the newcomers and to our established TT community, read the rules. That's read the rules. That's really my biggest thing. Is I'm gonna read them multiple times. I've already read them once. We're gonna keep reading them. So I have them down. And we're gonna follow the rules, and that's what we're gonna do. And I think that's what gives me, kind of getting back to, part of why I think some series don't do well is because they have so many members that are involved in that racing. And at that point, you can't help it. It's human nature. You're going to become biased. You're going to play favoritism. It's human nature. And you can't fight that. I don't have a card to play. I don't have anybody racing. It's me, So,
Yeah,
and that's what we try to do with Jake Turner. He has his kids racing. And when it comes to, I'm sure few people saw it, it's like, why is Jake running the starting line, and I'm watching for jumps? It's because his kid's in the race, and I'm going to make the call if somebody jumps. And so nobody can say, well, his kid jumped the line and, his dad let him go because he was an official. We nipped that right in the butt, and that's the way we're going to play it. There's no favoritism.
I don't know if you have sponsors yourself, but is there any sponsors or shout outs that you'd like to give?
Absolutely. So this last year, AJ with 110% nutrition came up to me and offered me a sponsorship and hooked me up with some cool gear and everything. So now he's moved on and he's sponsoring the entire series this year. AJ 110% nutrition. Awesome. If you guys haven't tried his stuff, definitely try it. I know it helps me, keeps me going all day long when I'm out there running in the heat and everything. So that's my shout out. And obviously to, Sean, the owner of the NEDT, what he's done, I can't say enough, and taking me on and dealing with me on a, daily basis sometimes when we're texting and messaging. Yeah, I'm sure he gets real annoyed.
Like, I just want to silence his phone, but at the same time, it all comes back to everybody enjoys you being around, Danny.
Thank you.
Let's see, is there any other? Let's throw a curveball topic in there. A couple years ago, and I'm not sure if they still do this every year, but the Super TT racing where they'll have part dirt, part asphalt. I can't remember if that was overseas. I think it was.
Yes. Yeah.
Would you like to see more of that in the United States and possibly throw in a curveball race in y'all series if this was ever to get that?
Absolutely. I mean, I really do think that would be something cool. I mean, even if just like something tempting, like maybe we could talk to Bud Fisher, and go, hey, won't you, blacktop this corner over here, or, this little chicane here, and let's see how it works. Yeah, it's going to eat up some tires, in which, Hoosiers having a struggle with, keeping them going as it is. But
Yeah.
No, absolutely. I'd love to see that. Get more racing, get more series going. I think that would be something cool, like a half and half dirt, half asphalt, something. Let's do it. I'll run
Yeah.
it.
I know with training facility in Donald, South Carolina. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but it's the Shoals MX. It's some of Stu Baylor's people. He's big in the GNCC. Shout out to Stu. He just won round one this weekend in XC1. So
Awesome. Good for him.
Definitely proud of Stu. But I know that there's a race at the Shoals where there's part MX, part GNCC. So the lap times are like 7 to 8 minutes, and you do 5, 6, 7 laps. I feel like maybe even for the Nobby class for y'all series, throw in something different for the Nobby class. Rip up part of the track and have it blocked off for just the Nobby class, but even a Joker lane. Seeing those more often.
The thing with the Nobbies is I think we only run them at Pine Lake, the Nobby class. So that's kind of limited. This year, with the 90s, I think we're, making that step in the right direction of doing, some, different unique stuff. So we'll see when we go with that. I'm pretty excited about that. Let me tell you. I don't know if you heard anybody getting machines ready, but I know a few of them that are, and it's going to be a blast.
I know there's one dealership, and I think it's like an hour away from Kings Mountain, but they got DRR 90s and MX setups, and they got a couple TT setups over there. And I think within the past week, they sold all 5 of their TT setup DRRs. So I go into a store and I see something TT, and I talk to my MX guys, and they're like, "What? What did you say?" But and then I sit down and explain to them, and they're like, "Well, they don't sound too bad, but it sounds like a sport for slow bikes or whatever." But that's not the case.
No.
It don't matter if you got knobbies or TT tires. I mean, if a bike's got the horsepower, it's going to go.
Absolutely. Let me tell you what, there's nothing better than, coming, Pine Lake, for example, and, Black Ankle. I haven't been able to, but man, I'd love to hit that straight away into that corner. But yeah, Pine Lake, you're hitting 60 plus, almost 70 miles per hour and throwing that sucker sideways into the first corner. And there ain't a better feeling, let me tell you.
Yeah. Danny, is there any other subjects or topics that you want to talk about?
Oh man, I'm pretty well talked right now. No, nothing really. I'm excited for this next year. I think there's going to be a lot of big, great things coming. Glad to talk to you. I'm I'm happy. I just can't wait for May when we're down at Black Ankle. A little special something. This will Black Ankle, May 6th. It's going to be my first race. That's actually going to be my birthday. So I'm super stoked that I get to run the line and be around nothing but racing all day long my birthday. So that's what I'm stoked about. I'm ready for May to be here.
Yeah, that's awesome. And hopefully if everything works out with some people, hopefully I'll be able to either rent a quad or whatever the case may be. But I definitely hope to hit a couple of the TT tracks this year. I want to definitely reunite with some of my old friends, Jim Glenn. He's just one of them. He's a big name in the TT zone, and
oh man, yeah.
Everybody that's dealt with Jim has always been satisfied. So Jim, keep doing what you're doing if you're watching this video.
You're absolutely right. Man. Let me tell you what, Jim Glenn, he makes it a point to see me, and I tell you what, I think it was at Black Ankle. He cooked me some pulled pork ribs, and it was one or not ribs, but some pulled pork sandwich. And it was the best sandwich I had in a long time. He's a great guy. You're absolutely right. and that's what the whole community is filled with, is people like him, and it really is a bunch of good people. And that's would probably be my biggest word is, get out to the rest of the community is we are a family, and we really do enjoy our racing just like everybody else. We have different tires and we don't like to jump a lot.
Yeah. Are there any races that you want to give advice to people to make sure it is a priority to make it?
All of them. Make all of them this year. End of story. No, Michigan this year's we know it's a longer drive for a lot of the North Carolina boys and the Southern boys, Tennessee. It's a hard drive, but this year it's a double header. So we're actually racing short track Friday night. We're doing a full race series, a full program on Saturday, waking up Sunday, doing a whole nother race program. That is pretty much a mandatory race. You need to be there. But the rest of them are great. Muskegum, Tristan, he's doing great down there. Big, wide open track. I mean, it's horsepower heaven there. Then, you Pine Lake. You can never miss Pine Lake this year. The 90s under the lights this year. That'll be fun. Going back to, Danville, Budds Creek, motocross. You can't miss any of them this year. You got to be at all of them. If you ain't had TT racing this year, what the heck you doing? I mean, come on.
Danny, I appreciate you coming on here. Definitely look forward to doing some videos with you in the future.
Absolutely,
I'm sure everybody's going to love this one. I appreciate you taking your time out, especially getting the gear on. I know it's probably kind of hot right now, but
no, I'm good. It's cold up here in Ohio.
I hear you. Danny, I appreciate everything you do for the TT community, and I appreciate you coming on this podcast.
All right. Thank you, Devin. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Danny.
All right. Thank you.